Well, hello, good afternoon. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday afternoon, and welcome to another Train Sim World 5 live stream, West Coast Main Line. So here's a look at the timetable, what we're going to cover today. First of all, we're going to do a Euston to Milton Keynes service on a Class 350, but we'll start off from the Camden carriage sidings, take it into Euston. Then second of all, Bakerloo line, Harrow and Wealdstone to Elephant Castle, and of course we'll transfer to the old DLC at Queen's Park so as we can take the full run to Elephant. And in the third run it'll be a Class 66 freight run which we'll go through. I think we'll do a southbound run from just before Milton Keynes, and then we'll take it through to Wealdstone. So that's the plan. So let's get things up and running. So we'll go for the Class 350. And one thing I was struck by, it's perfectly possible to do the opening service. So this starts off as the 0614 from Camden carriage sidings, and it's only a 3-minute run into London Euston. So let's go for that. I think it's just so brilliant really that there are so many possibilities with these routes, and these are the sort of things that you just wouldn't be able to do as a passenger in real life, to take it from the carriage sidings and start the run down to Euston. So it's just quite exciting to do stuff like that, at least it is in my mind anyway. So here we are. Quite a pleasant early morning, 0614. And you can see there's quite a few pieces of stock in there. So let's get things set up in the cab. So master key on, reverser into forward, AWS on, headlights into daylight. I mean, I must admit I don't tend to bother. I think I mentioned this on Friday, but I don't tend to bother with the DSD or the DVD. I think it varies with different units. And I'll try and answer any questions if anybody does want to raise a question. I'm not the best at it, to be honest. I haven't quite got the hang of this driving and streaming at the same time. It's fairly new to me, but I'll do my best. I'm guessing we should get a clear run into the platforms, but you never quite know. And I'm trying to really tidy up some of the bits from Friday's stream, because I did a bit of the Bakerloo line but not the whole run, and also the Class 66 didn't quite go to plan. But there's so many other possibilities as well. I mean, I'm not planning on doing the Pendolino today, but we could have a complete Pendolino stream. There's the possibility of doing the 805 on a Holyhead service, at least as far as Milton Keynes, although I think in reality they don't stop at Milton Keynes. A bit more on the Adventurer as well. We've got an overground train going out to Watford Junction. I wonder if that's the first one of the morning to Watford Junction. Yeah, we've got one coming in as well. I mean, maybe it's because I've pretty much only done services around rush hour time, but it seems pretty busy, I have to say. Thanks for anybody tuning in, and I hope you're having a lovely Sunday. My part of the world, it's not been the best weather day. We've had a lot of rain, and if you're from the Midlands and you know about Joanne Mailing, you might mention what she said once about the weather. I'm not going to use the word that she said, but have a look on YouTube. I'm sure the clip's on there somewhere. It's quite famous. We'll just say it's rainy. It's rained quite a lot today. It's been raining it down, let's put it that way. I don't know in real life whether there'd be a marker that if we were doing above a certain speed that we would get caught out, because I can't imagine you'd go late on at 25 mile an hour into the buffer stops. So we are at London Euston. Now, I think we got a few minutes before the actual departure, but I'm not gonna kind of hang on because we'd be here all day. But let's get things switched off as though we were actually setting the thing up properly. So we can turn the headlights off, and then we do need the tail lights on, if I can remember where they are anyway. Wipers, they're here somewhere, aren't they? Is it one of these? Let's have a look. Marker, daylight, night light, back up. Oh, I've opened the doors now. Shows I haven't really got massive experience with this unit yet. Where's the tail lights? Backup days, that's off. Ah, tail lights. I've just seen it. Right. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that too much. We'll leave that to the next driver. And I've been a bit naughty as well. I've left the doors open. So we can't get out there. So this is the, well, it says it's the 0621. That's not updated properly yet. Anyway, that's the run into Euston. That didn't start very well, did it? Let's do the main service then now. So it's like the 350 again. So I think it's yeah, the 0619 is the service to Milton Keynes, but I want one that actually goes to. Ah, there we are. 0607. That's what we want. So we should, by doing an actual Milton Keynes service, we should be going into the bay platform at Milton Keynes Central. That's what we're aiming for. And also, I've yet to stop at a lot of the stations outside of Watford Junction. Some are pretty much fast to Watford Junction, some stop at Harrow and Wealdstone. I don't know what this one will do, we'll see in a minute. So I think we've got 13 people watching at the moment. That's nice to see. Thanks for the support. There we are, Milton Keynes Central. So let's get things set up. Yeah, I think the frustrating thing is, I mean, you can zoom right up to there, but you can't zoom up to the those controls down there properly. Anyway, not to worry. We'll get the headlights on, daylight. And let's get the right doors open. So SMR is on, so it's got us noted there. 2K13, I think it is. Sorry, 2K 2 Kilo 03. That's our head code marking. And if you look at the videos of trains from years gone by, they used to have the head code marking on the front of the train, but of course nowadays it's all recorded in the signals and it's done a little bit more sophisticated. So we're due off at 0609. So they always say about 10 seconds before, don't they? So let's get the doors locked. I was going to show you with the intro the split flap departure board that I've got a template for on Adobe Premiere, but I've just run out of time just trying to getting it working. So for anybody who's bought this and got the early access, then I hope you're very much enjoying it. I certainly am, and there's so much potential with this. And if you bought it and you're going to be playing it on the 17th, then not too long to wait now. Tuesday, is it? So we are first stop Harrow and Wealdstone on this service. And unlike the Pendolino, we don't have a speed control. Let's just have a quick check on where we're stopping then. So Harrow and Wealdstone, Bushy, Watford Junction, Kings Langley, Apsley, Hemel Hempstead, Berkhamsted, Leighton Buzzard, Bletchley and Milton Keynes Central. Why did we get an AWS reminder there? Because we've got a green signal. Is that a slight bug maybe? I don't know whether the release build on Tuesday will be any different than the one for the early access. I know that they are working quite hard on getting it done, the first patch out. I think I mentioned on Friday that's the Chalk Farm music venue. It's an old railway turntable from years gone by. It's quite a difficult little section this, because you like descend very sharply and then you go up quite sharply. So that tunnel that we just saw to the left, that's where the DC lines came in. Whereas as we go through Primrose Hill Tunnel here, we are taking the slow lines, the down slow. So even at full power in notch 4, we're still not exactly racing away. It's still quite a climb up towards South Hampstead. It's looking nice in the early morning sunlight, isn't it? Nice service to be on, actually, I would imagine. If anybody spotted any glaring omissions scenery-wise, I mean, you know, I've been on this route many times, but I'm not a daily user of it. Then, by all means, you can make a comment and also let Dovetail Games know if you think there's something glaringly obvious. So here's Queen's Park. That little marker, incidentally, on the left was how you go into the mode to get you to the old Bakerloo line stock. So this free hopping mode, I think they call it. So the idea is that instead of having to come out of the menu, and you can just literally just hop over to the other route and it'll take you straight to the same location at the same time, the same weather, try and give you that feeling as though it kind of is almost a bit like a merged route. Very odd that they've done it on these mainline platforms though, because that's the one place where I wouldn't have done it. Surely you want to do it on the Bakerloo line platforms, which is where you're going to do the route hopping there. Another 350. Yet to figure out whether there's any 8-car services in the menu. I was kind of glossed over a little bit by DTG on the stream. It was kind of like, well, there isn't many 8-car services in real life, but I don't know the full ins and outs of that. The only disadvantage perhaps of picking a service this early is that it is pretty quiet. So we've got a top speed of 90 miles an hour, just over 4 miles to go to Harrow and Wealdstone, which is the first mainline station we could stop at. I think many years ago Queen's Park had mainline platforms. I mean, they're kind of still there, but you don't get trains stopping there other than the Bakerloo and the overground trains. People have commented about how empty the yards look, and yeah, they could have added a few bits in. It's good to see there, certainly on some services we've had. Well, there's, you know, there is some freight stuff in there. There's Wembley. As we go through Wembley Central. And we have a Bakerloo line service heading north to Harrow and Wealdstone. I've still not got round to installing all of the content, well, not by a long stretch actually, but I have added in the Bakerloo line so that we can do that proper run to Elephant Castle. Just hoping I'm not the perfect backdrop to a Sunday afternoon snooze. Oh, there's another northbound service. So we've got clearance for 100 miles an hour now. I mean, for all the complexity of the route, the speed limit's probably fairly easy to learn. I know there's one or two YouTubers out there that make a point of really getting to grips with the speed limits, but oh, here's a Pendolino. But better not get too excited because we are going over 90 miles an hour. But I've got to say, I mean, every run I've done on this route so far has certainly held me interest. There's plenty going on. Yeah, we've got another route swapping point here. the distinctive UFO whirring sound of the Class 350. So can't see no stock car marker, but it looks like you're pretty much going to the end of the platform. Can't quite get the camera out to view of them, but quite a nice touch there. You've got the advertising boards. Road looks a bit sunk in places. I might reopen those doors again actually, because we're 2 minutes away. That's one thing I've observed about this 350. It seems as though the timetable's a bit slack. It's either that they got the acceleration completely wrong, or there is something going on with the timetable, because you really wouldn't imagine you would have such a long time when you arrive here. How busy is the train? This is the train to Milton Keynes Central. The next stop is Bushy. Yeah, it's good to see the markers there. I mean, over the years sometimes they've got the colouring wrong on these things, but I think that looks pretty accurate to me. I've just heard another train. I think that's only like a Bakerloo line train. Yeah, it is, yeah. That will go in that way. I know what we can do, actually, thinking about it. We can actually shut those doors and make us a bit more enclosed. The sounds are pretty decent on this, and I think that Daisy, who did the live stream with DTG a couple of weeks ago, said that I think she's basically recorded them. Now, I've been keeping a sharp eye out for mods on the Train Sim community website. There's been one or two. There is a lighting patch, but I haven't quite got to grips with the idea of this God mode that you need to use to make it work, so I've not bothered with it yet. Right, thanks for a couple of comments. The Train Hunter, hi. I think you watched on Friday, as I recall. Now, I did do the 377 on Friday, so if you want to look back at Friday's stream and it's available on the channel, then I have got the 377, and I'm not sure when I'm going to do it. And the trouble is, I tend to say these things and then it happens weeks and months later. But I've got a plan at some point to do a full run on the 377 from Milton Keynes to East Croydon, because you can take it as far as Wembley on this route, transfer to Train Sim Classic, and then do the full run to Clapham Junction, and then on the London commuter line you can take it then on to East Croydon on Train Sim World. So I reckon that'll be quite decent, but I'm kind of want to keep it down to about 3 hours today. So the idea is these 3 runs that I've scheduled for the time being. But thanks for watching again, and I've kind of got plans in my mind for future streams, but I need to kind of settle into a bit of a rhythm as to when I'm doing these streams, but we'll see about that over time. It's a bit easy at the moment because I've got a few days off from work, so I've got all the time in the world, as it were, to do these streams. I must admit, it's much easier doing a live stream than it is doing a recorded video, because the recorded video you have to edit to put various things in, this, that and the other. But with this you can go straight live pretty much, apart from the intro. Job's a good one. By the way, anybody that would like to like and subscribe, I'd be really happy if you would do that for the channel, because that kind of boosts the ratings a bit and try and get that subscriber count up a bit. I've been working on the channel now since just before Christmas, I think it was. And very flattered at the interest. And of course there are plenty of other YouTubers doing train simulator in various forms. A picture actually flashed up of Bushy Station on my Instagram feed the other day, because it was apparently a year ago since I was at Bushy Station, and it was a long story because I was intending to stop at Wembley at a premiere in, but a bit of a mix-up. I obviously hadn't completed the booking. I ended up stopping at Milton Keynes, as it goes. But I had to change at Bushy along the way. We literally are just a few yards away from Watford Junction. I presume Bushy is very much considered a part of Watford, really. So I mean, we were pretty steady with that, but even then we've still got a minute on the clock.
Do not
a minute
use
early.
the emergency cord, as this may delay help reaching you.
Oh, the passengers of Train Sim World, there's something to get happy about. I mean, just walk round the man. There's plenty of room on the platform, and there's one there doing some sort of strange dance as well. Eventually he decided to sit down, but it wasn't until he'd kind of hit the chair umpteen times. So the one after this is the 0654. And of course at the moment they all say that they are Milton Keynes services. And I think once that's sorted out with the patch, and hopefully the first patch will only be a matter of weeks away, hopefully days away, you never know. Then they will fix that, and it'll be good to see the trains with the proper destinations. We had the same thing with the Midland Main Line originally. Everything apparently terminated at Leicester. Now, I've just observed the fact that the doors there made a clicking sound. Well, we actually heard the sound of the thud of them shutting. Now, I know for a fact that from the outside view that we weren't getting that previously, so I'm not sure if that means, surely they haven't corrected it, have they? It's probably more likely the fact that it's right on the inside of the cab but not right on the outside. So this is the big retail park, and there's a big Tesco in reality in the distance. You've kind of got the edge of the bypass there. There's no branding, of course, allowed, unfortunately, but it's still pretty nicely done. Ah, Do you know, I was saying about there should be a Tesco petrol station, and I did spy a petrol station there, so I think they've actually put it in the right place. I tend to get a bit obsessed about silly things like that. I mean, that's kind of why I'm no good with train sim classic route building, because you spend 2 hours trying to find one particular building. You know what, there's one in the asset library somewhere, but it's what on earth it's called, I've got no idea. So we're coming into the slow line platforms, and that Pendolino has made the Watford Junction stop. It's a beautiful September morning. I think in reality we've got the rest of the week set pretty nicely actually for most of the country, which is good to know. There's the stop car marker. So I assume we might see the Pendo leaving before us. You can't complain about the modelling on that, can you? That's absolutely superb. Well, I was hoping we were going to see it departing, but evidently not. Oh, they're just shutting the doors on it now. So question is, when we close the doors on this, will we hear the door sound? No, is the answer to that. And I have to say, when they kind of turn on the motors for the Pendolino, it sounds absolutely brilliant. And thanks very much to Train Plays. I'm good too. Hope you're enjoying the stream. I think we're up to 65 views. Been a bit worried about these live streams actually. I thought, am I going to be talking to myself? Is anybody listening? But glad to see that there are some people watching. I mean, the funny thing is here, I mean, we're actually, okay, we're going to depart off to the slow line tunnels, but we've kind of got a head start over the Pendolino, although we're on the fast lines and we are going to go slower than it. Acceleration wise, we're quicker just being a 4-car train. And I'm going to have to keep a beady eye out for these station stops, because I'm driving a Class 350 actually at the moment. That was the Pendolino, the 390 in the background. I'm not planning on doing the Pendolino today actually, the 390. I'll reserve that for the next stream, and then I'm thinking of having a bit of a Class 390 special. And one thing I would love to do, and it should be dead easy to do, is to do a Pendolino out of Glasgow Central and do a divert, because this does happen in real life sometimes. They get diverted via the Cathcart Circle to... Oh, we're going a bit over the speed limit here. Well, they do get diverted over the Cathcart Circle and rejoin the West Coast Main Line at Newton, so that's something we can definitely do. think it's a great idea, though, that Dovetail Games bringing out this West Coast Main Line route, and particularly this end of it, because there's just so much going on. I mean, 28 stations. People will talk about the fact that it's 50 miles, but I think with this level of detail, you just can't complain. We are indeed. We are now arriving at Kings Langley. Please remember to take all your personal belongings with you if you're leaving us here. Actually, it'd be nice to have the announcements in, wouldn't it? We've got them in for the 5 Circle, so why couldn't they put them in for this? Now then, I kept going on about it on Friday, but the M25, can we get up the view? Aha, we can, just about. Yep, looking pretty quiet. No road markings on there though, that perhaps it's just been resurfaced. So Apsley, the next stop. I mean, I'm hoping at some point as well to do a sort of a real life recording and take in the LNWR and the Pendolino and all the various stock that's included, just as a sort of a passenger view, and kind of record a little bit about what's going on there. I mean, much as though people would have loved this to have gone on to Rugby or Northampton, Birmingham, New Street, it's just about a nice run, really. I mean, an hour's run. You do get into the realms of, if you've got a single run where it's kind of like 2 or 3 hours, then, you know, you've kind of got other things to do other than drive trains all the time. Trying to not go too fast because Apsley is not too far away. I mean, the idea is we should be doing less than 30 really, I think, when we hit the platform ramps. Indeed we are. I could do with you train plays to do the announcements. We'll shortly be arriving at Apsley. I always think the LNWR announcements talk to you as though everybody's at about 5 years of age. So we are now arriving at Apsley. I'll try not to do too many imitations. I don't want to lose too many viewers. Of course, an illustration there. I mean, it looks a bit silly, that sign, doesn't it, without the LNWR branding. but I don't think it'll be too long away. Even if Dovetail Games don't get the license back off LNWR, somebody will sort that out soon. But again, it's good to see the these other stations. I mean, I've not seen some of these properly yet, and there's a lot of detail gone in to get things right. Somebody's commented about you've got the Euston card marker that isn't accurate for north of Watford Junction. So, right, well, the plan after this is to run the Bakerloo line train. Oh, I've just thought, better close the doors, hadn't that? So we're going to take a service from Harrow and Wealdstone through to Elephant and Castle. Thought I broke it then. Now, unfortunately, the sound mod, there's a brilliant sound mod on the train sim community for the 72 stop for the Bakerloo line, but it's not been upgraded, I don't think, yet to work on Train Sim World 5, so we'll have to make do with the original default sounds, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I mean, I go back a very long way in terms of train simulators, and I can remember all excited back in the 1980s owning a Commodore 64, and when there was a train simulator advertised in a magazine, and I sent off for it, loaded it up, great excitement, and I found that it was just a bit of text, no sounds even of the train, and you kind of had to do it in your imagination, but it was pretty good. Yeah, you're quite right, we are indeed. You know, I've got a feeling that even if those markers weren't up there, you would know where we were, what station we were coming into. You sound as though you know the route. We are now approaching Hemel Hempstead. I mean, sometimes this is the first stop, I think, after Watford Junction on the semi-fast services. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Well, I've been following the trains for many years too. So I think with this sound effect thing, I mean, at least the fact that you can hear them in the cab, it obviously will be a fairly easy thing to sort out, the fact that we can't hear them on the outside. So, as you'll very well know, Berkhamsted is next, and I think at that point we've got the canal and the river going on. It was quite picturesque. I mean, the only question I kind of thought, the more I've seen about this route, is there this many trees on this section? I think we do come out into open countryside in Hertfordshire at some point. Crikey, you do know the route, don't you? reminding myself to keep a sharp check on the fact we haven't got any reduction in speeds. There's quite a curve, I think, on the approach to Berkhamsted. And there we have another Pendolino. Lovely feeling to be on an early morning train when it's not too busy, particularly when the weather's good. There's a great advert that you'll see on YouTube where they kind of made the comparison of a long distance journey, or a journey across the UK by train as opposed to on the plane, and they illustrated it really well. They ended it by saying much better, we think, than a 737 or a 747, etc. Yes, indeed. So we have got a reduction to 85, but we're not even going to quite get that up to that speed, are we? So we're okay, I think. But I have to say, I mean, I'd still like Train Sim Classic because you could do such long journeys. Oh, we got a 66 coming through now on a freight service. But this feels like we're in the real world. First major bodge of the day, but I think we're okay. We're in the station, that'll do. Yeah, I could say in this case, we are now approaching Berkhamsted at too fast a speed, but hopefully we'll stop in time. Oh yes, mind the gap please between the train and the platform edge. So we're nearly up to 100 viewers, I think, 98. So which is which? Is that the canal or is that the river? Right, now I've got to, because we put the emergency brakes on, this might take a little bit of thinking about. No, we're all right. I mean, some people might bemoan the fact that there aren't a complicating process to unravel after an emergency brake stop, but I just want to get the thing moving again. I think it's pretty detailed, really. Wow, 12 miles, yeah. We're getting a bit more spaced out now to Leighton Buzzard. I presume there's other stations in between. So about 10 minutes journey. So it gives us a chance to at least see the outside view a bit more. I'm kind of not wanting to keep doing it when you know that you potentially have stops to come. I'm not a great multitasker, so driving and trying to look at the outside view at the same time is a bit too much for me, my small brain. Well, thanks for watching. You've been valuable, the input that you've put in. Thanks very much. And if you want to watch the rest of the runs, I'd say it should be about 3 hours, the whole thing, but it'll all be way back on YouTube and you can watch it again. Anybody else that wants to pop in with a comment, let me get my teeth in, a comment or two, then by all means do so. Even if you want to say stop waffling on, I don't mind. So we've surpassed the 100 views, which is excellent. I need train place to tell me where that was. Actually, was it Tring? I think this is Tring Cutting, isn't it? So on Friday we did a run from Tring to London Euston. Of course, there's very much an active service between those two locations. I think this was a heck of a job when they built this in the 1800s, digging all the earth out for this cutting. And I think there were deaths. I guess health and safety wasn't quite what it is today, and of course there wasn't the excavating equipment that they have nowadays, the diggers and the like, all sorts of stuff to help. You get a good view there of the cutting, don't you? That's really well modelled. It's tribute to all the hard work that went into building the real route, you think, back in the 1800s, and you know, it'd be fascinating to bring back the route engineers and all the people involved and said, look at what you created, it's still very much there now. Well done. The last time I was at Paddington, I saw a statue of Isambard Kingdom Brunel, and you kind of think, wouldn't it be good if we could just bring him back and say, look, here's your station, you'll still recognise it, look at the things that have been done in the 150 years since. I think he would have improved, because he was such a pioneering spirit. And again, I think just to make sure the game doesn't cause us any issues, I'm going to reload it, I think, once we get to Milton Keynes, and then just don't want to impact on the memory too much. I think this is kind of a typical run in terms of you get these services where it's basically all stops and then suddenly you've got a fast section of the route. I mean, I presume there are services that actually cross from the slow to the fast lines and vice versa during the journey. But there are hundreds of routes in the timetable. I mean, people have been moaning about it not being the complete timetable, but I think it's very unlikely I'll ever complete the ones that are already in there. And I think this section here is quite a major point for trains crossing over from the slow to the fast and vice versa. We do have Bridego Bridge included, which was the scene of the great train robbery in the 1960s, but I can't tell you exactly where that is, I have to say. So after this fast run through the 12 miles or so, we're heading towards Leighton Buzzard. Again, it'd be really interesting to hear a real train driver's knowledge of this route, and I'd love to know, right, exactly where is the braking point, where should we start braking? I suspect rather than going up and down on the brakes as I'm doing there, it'll probably come in about 30% brake and do it a lot more efficiently than what I'm doing. So here we are, Leighton Buzzard. I think in years gone by, these places around the car parks would have been full of goods yards and collected the milk and all that sort of stuff. There's the station. I was trying to get a better view actually of the station building. It's pretty decent, isn't it? I'm not totally sure, but I'm guessing that isn't the 1960s version. It would have been a bit squarer. So again, where else have we got to stop now? So Bletchley and then Milton Keynes Central. actually was an important station, and sort of mainline services used to stop there, and it was one of the terminus points of these local services. But then in 1982 Milton Keynes Central opened up. Oh, here's a Pendo. I don't know why I get so excited seeing that, but it's fantastic. Oh, I've just realised we've left Leighton Buzzard a bit early. Oops. So apologies to passengers who wanted to join us at Leighton Buzzard on this 0702 service. Never mind. So that means we're going to have a longer waiting time at Bletchley. We're going to get a bleep in a minute to tell us we're past 0702. But there's some great reskins already on Creators Club, which are well worth getting. You can get the climate change, the green Avanti reskin. We've got the Pride livery, Virgin Trains livery. This unit has been done into London Midland and Silverlink colours in grey. I think the Pendolino's also been done in the kind of the white livery that was in evidence between Virgin losing the franchise and Avanti West Coast getting it. That time of the morning where you would be getting a lot of Pendolinos, more heading south than north, I guess, at this stage in the morning rush. I mean, there's a big yard beyond Bletchley as well where the 350s are often stabled. Somebody commented that the rumble over the track joints is a little bit quiet from the cab. Now, I think this thing we're passing here used to be the old Bletchley flyover, which was a big freight idea, but it never really took hold, and I think it's been essentially mainly demolished now. here we are at Bletchley. The other thing about the seats, I mean, it's quite nicely modelled inside, but it should be green. And again, I think that's perhaps something to do with this LNWR thing. Yeah, so we're on time, and then the next one is 0737, then Birmingham New Street 803, and of course the display there, quite rightly, nothing indicated, because in reality there's no access for passengers because they're not used. Not sure what he's doing there. He shouldn't be even there, should he? Or him. That's something they could do with sorting out. They've got a gap, that's why. I bet that's not there in real life. Little things like that really should be ironed out. I've got 5 minutes wait, unfortunately.
All our trains and stations are no smoking.
No, the lifts don't work on this station. They do on some.
Until you have left the station premises. This includes e-cigarettes.
Yeah, you can see there's a big amount of lines going outside the station. And these are, on this side, is for London Euston bound passengers. Though I'm not totally sure this is used massively, this platform, actually. No, we don't want to give up control. Yeah, I mean, that's an indication. Yeah, there's nothing indicated there. And again, there's one or two little bits of realism lacking there to have passengers on platforms where there's no trains. This is the way out. Ooh. I'm afraid the man with the green bag has got a right old problem there, because he just doesn't know how to get out. He's stuck. I mean, it looks as though he's on one of them treadmill things, doesn't he? That shouldn't have happened either. We just literally dropped through the floor. Oh, is this one that works? Perhaps some of these ones do work. Yeah, this one does work.
Footbridge. Doors opening. Lift going down.
I can't remember what platform we were on now. I've got it right. Thank goodness for that. Let's have a little wander through the train. Yeah, we've got a southbound service coming in. But this is probably about right. You know, you wouldn't perhaps expect it to be full with only one step left to go. Can't gain access to the toilets. And of course you can play these runs in conductor mode. So sorry about this, folks, but we've only got about a minute or so to go. We will be off, and then the short section then to Milton Keynes Central, and then we'll be on the Bakerloo line. Now, was it my imagination? Did that other train also say Milton Keynes up? But it looks as though,
Feel free to contact me.
yeah, it should say Euston, I think. But I suppose, to be fair, I mean, in real life, these things can be wrong. I once took a train from Wolverhampton to Birmingham New Street, and it was in one of these Class 350s, and the announcement kept on saying it was a train for Wolverhampton, kept telling us the stations in reverse. But the thing that made me laugh the most was that nobody seemed in the slightest bit confused or perplexed by it at all. And maybe it's a fairly common occurrence. Sorry to keep flicking about with the cameras a bit. Yeah, big freight yard, Bletchley. I mean, hopefully some of the other freights stuff will be layered in so that we're not just restricted down to driving the freight liner container stuff that we've got at the moment. Now we should be signalled into the bay platform at Milton Keynes Central. Seems very slack, this timetable. Be interested to check this one on real-time trains. I mean, we'll have the opposite problem on the Bakerloo line. We'll be late. Unless you accelerate away like a madman and stop really, really late, you've got zero chance of being on time. Now, that wasn't me. We didn't get any AWS sound on that. That's something that's missing. What was I saying about it being easy to reset? we're okay now. No, it definitely wasn't an error from me. There was no AWS sound, but so that's something that's missing. We are signalled into platform 2A. Well, there we go. That shows just what a busy route this is. We've got a Pedalino heading southbound and a Class 66 alongside us as well. Yikes. Stop! Oh. Oh dear. Well, I think we made it. I wasn't quite expecting the buffer stops to come that quickly. I think that's called, I think literally when you say buffer stops. Okay, well, we'll forgive that moment of embarrassment. Passengers don't look too perturbed by it. Maybe him though, because he's stuck between the post and the catenary.
You will be expected to produce your tickets when asked to do so.
I think he might be there all day. Hello, mate. Sorry. Can't help you, I'm afraid. Now, before we go, let's just have a quick look to see if anything of the concourse are up here and how this has been modelled. Yeah, it's very nicely done, actually. See, they've not just put some generic stuff in. Okay, you can't go any farther than there, but you can see the effort that they've put in to represent this relatively modern station. Hey, up somebody else having a fight with getting out. Let's lock the doors and then we'll move on to part 2. We got a gold medal. Well, I'm not sure about that. I think we've given half the passengers whiplash. Well, you saw there in the Creators Club, that was a view of the 807. Okay, so we'll move on to the Bakerloo line then next. So let's just load the game back up again. And I'm only doing that just to make sure that we don't get the game dumping on us, really. So we don't want the Bakerloo line yet, we want the West Coast Main Line, and then that way we could see all the passing stuff on the way through. So fed up with doing early morning services, let's go for the evening. So let's take the 1650. Okay, so we are actually in the turnback sidings rather than the platform. So let's get this set up. So control switch to on. I like to get the cut in. If we don't do this, then if you try to drive with the window open, you won't. It won't move. So we're going to Elephant and Castle. Probably means the one at the back's all wrong, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Oops. Right, forward one, yeah. Now the one weird thing is, we're loaded with passengers, we should be completely empty. That was something they actually did sort out on the Bakerloo line DLC, where all the passengers got off. But it's re-emerged again on this route. Now give the passengers some light. So apologies for the sound. They are the default sounds, and I'm hoping that on the TrainSim community website they're upgraded to TrainSim World 5 pretty soon. Again, it feels pretty lifelike, that, doesn't it? That here we are heading into the platform to take this service on, and then that train is coming out. I mean, that one's actually empty of passengers, so they've sorted it out there. Just a few niggles like that would not be nice to get sorted out. Let's concentrate on going to the right point of the platform. Oh, thank you very much for the subscription. That's really appreciated. Thank you very much. The British or Geek. Yes, I like that name. That's good. Thank you very much. Because anybody that adds a subscription, that really does help the channel and tries to get it to grow, which of course is the aim. Hope you're enjoying it. I'm really good, and it's nice here just to try it something a bit different. And people will kind of moan that you can't do the West Coast Main Line route, this particular route down to Elephant and Castle, but because I've got the old Bakerloo line installed, then we'll be able to do that. Yeah, that's good to hear. And I think you really see, can't you, how good it is, and it's well worth the expense. And the good thing about it, it's not like Train Sim Classic where, I mean, you can buy this as it stands, and you've got most of the stock already included. You just need the Pendolino to go with it. And I think, you know, it's one of those things that, I mean, if you can't afford the full, I mean, yes, you probably want the Pendolino, but, you know, if you've at least got the 350, you've got this, you've got the 66, you've got stuff to be running off with initially, and then over time you can add to the, having the Pendolino and also the Goblin line for the 710, which is worth getting in its own right because it's a good run that from Gosford to Barking Riverside. We're not too bad. A few seconds out, I suppose, at Kenton. See, we're pretty rammed. Mind you, having said that, nobody got off at Harrow and Wealdstone by the looks of it when it terminated the other way. No, I think the Pendolino is in addition. You need to look up the price, but I think, no, the West Coast Main Line route itself doesn't come with the Pendolino. Here's the 710, on a Watford Junction service. I think there was a bit of conjecture about that. People said, why didn't they include the Pendolino? But I suppose there's a lot of effort that went into that. But I mean, my advice really would be, well, start off with the main route and then get the Pendolino when you can. I suppose I'm lucky in the sense that I built the collection up over many, many years, so, you know, things like the Goblin line I've already got. Yes, I think you do. Yeah, I think. I mean, don't quote me on it. Just obviously read it up and check. But I'm pretty sure the deluxe edition does come with the Pendolino. I think it's the deluxe edition that I bought actually, and you get the early access as well if you buy it before the 17th. That's how busy we are. That's what I'm trying to do with the camera. Just have a very quick look. Wow, that's busy. They really are rammed in. Yeah, it certainly is. Really is. And I think, you know, we've all been on the tube at rush hour time and we know what it's like. But I haven't been able to bring myself to ride this section of the route on the original Bakerloo line because, quite honestly, it was just boring. I mean, it got the wrong catenary. I'm being daft here, but have I shut? Yeah, I've got the doors shut on both sides. We're all right. Yeah, we're okay. And we hadn't got the passing trains either, so it was like you just got the odd freight train that wandered through. But this feels quite thrilling. I can only imagine. I can only imagine how busy it gets. I mean, that's the beauty of Train Simulator, isn't it? You can do it for fun. It's not quite the same if you're going to work on the tube. But I have to say, most of my travels on the London Underground are for leisure reasons, really. So North Wembley. Of course, it's worth mentioning the fact that if we were driving the Class 710, you would get the pings from the AWS, but you don't get that on the Bakerloo line. The ramps are there, but the train doesn't react to them. Yeah, sometimes packed in like sardines. Few getting off there, so perhaps we've eased the load a little bit. With these old trains, I think this is basically the oldest train on the network on London Underground, but you almost feel as though they don't really want to accelerate away, but they kind of, it's, well, if I must. Then we've got a 377. I don't know whether we'll catch up with it as it leaves, but it'd be interesting, I presume, that despite the fact you can only drive it to Wembley Central, I presume it actually does carry on the game as though it's going towards Wealdstone. I was braking a bit too quick there. I've always had a real fascination about the trains in and around London, because it's a sight to behold, really, the amount of services and the hundreds of thousands of people that are ferried about every single day. Yeah, so we've got a 377 coming in on a Watford Junction service on our left as well. But you just didn't get this excitement with the original Bakerloo line. It was quite bland and boring. That does say Wembley Central, but I'm sure that'll be corrected again. It should say East Croydon. Yeah, it's an interesting station, certainly. I think there is a travel lodge above it, but I don't think there's actually views looking out onto the main line, unfortunately. It's a complicated myriad of a station. Well, that East Croydon train's still in the platform. Just saw a 350 wandering through. So at this point, of course, we've had the West Coast Main Line on our left, but we're now going to go underneath the West Coast Main Line before Stonebridge Park, and then it'll be on our right for the remainder of our journey. Big depot as well coming up on the left at Stonebridge Park. What kind of climb this is. Again, if we were driving the 710, it'd be dead easy. Really was like this every day. I mean, a September day in England is lovely when the sun's out. We should have a nice view of Wembley Stadium there. That's I don't know what that building's called, but it's a very distinctive, and again they've not just put some generic little office block in there, they've made an effort to model it. That one I recognise from Train Simulator Classic. There's the North Circular. Well, I was going to actually I'm going to do the 66. I have done the 390. And that was on my Friday video, so have a look back at the Friday video. And I mean, to be honest, there's not just me doing these videos, there's loads of people, but I was trying to do a little bit of variety. I might have, though, a Pendolino special, though, for the next live stream. I'm not totally sure when that's going to be, but I was thinking of giving that a run out of Glasgow Central and do a divert by the Cathcart Circle, as well as having a look at the environment friendly, whatever it's called, livery. Again, thanks to everybody that's been watching the stream, and as I say, anybody that wants to like and subscribe, thanks for those that have. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about the livery is there are already all sorts of liveries on the Creators Club, so you can already get the London Midland Railway livery. You can get the Silverlink livery as well, as it was originally. And the fact is, I mean, I'm useless at it, but you can actually literally go into the livery creator and you can do it all yourself. So much potential. Well, if we were busy before, we're going to be busy now if all this lot's going on. I mean, the one thing about the original Bakerloo line was the fact that passengers never seemed to get on it, but there are some though waiting for the overground, I think. Maybe something is too busy, I'm not getting on this service. Few dodgy passenger movements going on up there as well. One of these days I must do a video showing these strange dances and movements of the passengers, because it's entertaining in its own right.
If you require assistance at any time, feel free to contact a member of station.
I don't know why I waited so long, actually. We're running late. So Wealdstone Junction is next. Again, a whole myriad of lines round about here. It really is a busy section. Now, this often catches me out, but it's 30 coming into, yeah, we've done it right. There's the old station, Wealdstone Junction, with the change here for the North London line for services to Richmond, Clapham Junction and Stratford. See the station up above is well represented. I have no idea whether trains actually have been timetabled into, you obviously won't be able to drive them, but there's only a short section of the North London line included, but it'd be quite neat if we could see a 710 coming in occasionally. The only slight realism breaker I think here is that we're going to arrive at Queen's Park late, and then the train we pick up to go to Elephant and Castle will be, if it's the same train, it'll probably be on time. getting the hedge cutters out to cut that tree, couldn't they, a bit? So Kensal Green next, and then I think it's Queen's Park. What's not to like about that? Pandolino races us by. This is miles better than the original representation of the Bakerloo line. There's nothing wrong in the underground sections, but this just feels so much better. I know there's been masses of debate on the forums about the London Overground timetable not being very complete. It'd be nice if we get that sorted. So Queen's Park is next with that little 15-mile-an-hour arrival into the platforms, and we kind of feel as though you're going through the sheds. Past the next signal. Well, yeah, you see, I should really have been a bit more careful there, because it was yellow, wasn't it, leaving Kensal Green. Yes, that red, I think it's an approach control, so it probably will normally clear to green, but we could have been caught out there. I think a real life driver would never ever do it like that. Pandolino races us by northbound. We are a bit late. I mean, we easily could have been held with a Queen's Park train that was in the sheds, because obviously some go from Queen's Park just to Elephant and Castle. So, kind of remember the time. Mind you, we don't need to actually think about it, it'll spawn us in at the same time. It'd be great if we could carry on the run down to Elephant and Castle with this DLC, but at least we can do it. So the scenario will end, but we're not completed with the Bakerloo line just yet. So let's continue. We'll go back to free roam. We will depart there. Now the only silly thing is, this route hopping mode should have been on this platform. But it's not. It's right the way over. I won't forget you now which one is it. Is it this one? Maybe not. It's one of the mainline platforms. It's a bit daft, so I don't think it's there. Must be over here. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So what you have to do is drive through it, or sorry, drive through it, walk through it, and then you press E, so we can go to Bakerloo line, Queen's Park. This, of course, only if you already own the Bakerloo line add-on. So it saves going back to the menu and everything, because if you had to do that, set all the time up again, it would be a bit more of a nuisance. See, that wouldn't have been a bad place to have the hopping thing maybe, but I think it'd be better off down here. So the good thing is, I think that was supposed to have been our train that we were driving, never mind. We've only got to wait 2 minutes. Now, I'm not totally sure, but I did reinstall the London Underground, the 72 stock sound add-on mod from Train Sim Community. I've got a feeling it still works on the old DLC, so we might get the benefit of the new sounds for the journey to Elephant and Castle. Yeah, we're all right. Don't step off the platform edge. So we're going to take over running this service in a second. We're going to hand over, or we're going to take over from this driver. Interesting that he's taken over the train, so that's okay. So let's do the usual stuff. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, Blue. But it'd be nice if that's done. No, just out of interest, because I don't know this, but is it on? I presume we're set up to go, hopefully. I mean, straight away you can tell the difference in the sounds, can't you? I mean, that is absolutely wonderful, the sounds that I think it's been done by a chap called Itcher. But know, obviously I can't speak for him, but okay, hang on. Now we need to forward. Yeah, oh, that's good. We're already set up for Elephant and Castle. I mean, you can see straight away you've got quite great Western Express catenary on the right, but for the few yards, doesn't matter, does it? But they're noisy old trains, these Bakerloo line trains, and yeah, I must admit I've been checking that Train Sim community website about 10 times a day, well, probably 10 times an hour really. Now, one thing I tend to like to do is if you put the lights on, and again you would never do this in reality, but you can see the track a bit more. Well, that's good. Well, that's a coincidence. I'll tell you what, you're observant. You really are observant. I always try to get it about so as we can see the screens about there. Excellent. Oh, and welcome back as well. Yeah, so enjoy the new improved sounds for this section. Maida Vale next. I used to have a fantastic model railway double O gauge many years ago. My mum spent a long time building it. It was very, very good. The only thing was, so problematic. You would get a hair in the motor and it would break down. It's quite time consuming and very expensive. Always wanted the APT for the model railway set. The HST, but never the APT. Imagine, I can't help wondering if they're a bit of a collector's item these days. The APT. Now, I've got a suspicion we won't have as many passengers on this time. That'd be something that'd be nice if they could sort out. Yeah, I know my brother had a great N gauge stock, which was Graham Parish. I think it was the 158 we had in Regional Railways colours back in the day, and we used to get a lot of run out of it. We had a 47 in the old Intercity colours. admit nowadays it's kind of train simulator that's taken over, because much as I love riding trains on, or used to enjoy riding trains on the model railway layout, this is kind of brings it to life. But I still like to go occasionally to exhibitions and see some of the fabulous layouts that people have created. And I don't know, have you got a big layout? Ah, fantastic. So you got a real interest in the Bakerloo line then, I take it. I do like it, I must say. It's kind of got an oldie worldy feel about it, with these trains where, I mean, some of the newer stock, of course, nowadays is auto controlled a lot. Yeah, I think a lot of my interest with trains, I mean, it's partly the 70s as well, but certainly into the 80s. And certainly used to go train spotting with my father and my friend as well a lot. Nothing sad about it. It's I mean, I can bore people to death about trains sometimes. But I don't know what it is, but I remember that excitement as a young child, just seeing a train for the first time, and I've kind of been hooked ever since, really. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there was a lot more variety in the 80s, more trains, more loco hauled stuff, but on the other hand, I still like the current stuff as well. Is it here? There's one station where they didn't model the curve exactly right. A bit slow coming in here. Of the flange sound, that really is the Bakerloo line, isn't it? Yeah, I think, I think the funny thing is, I suppose, I mean, Google Earth's a great friend, isn't it, for modelling these routes, and I'm sure they overlay it and everything with Google Maps, but I suppose that was the problem, you can't do that with an underground route. Seems quite a basic error though, really. No, not directly, it's not, no, not this section, Train Hunter. You need the old Bakerloo line add-on, and then you could kind of do this route hopping thing that we've just done at Queen's Park, and it'll transfer you to this older route. Again, it's more expensive, unfortunately. I'm just, again, lucky enough, I mean, this came out 3 or 4 years ago now. Yeah, I'm sure they did. I mean, actually, there's a patch that's been done for the... Because these tunnel linings, I don't think are that accurate, but I think there is a patch on Train Sim Community that I've not tried to install yet, but that actually removes those sort of panels that are on the tunnel walls. Yeah, I think I'm slightly behind. I was just thinking of that, Blue. Yeah, just thought about that, but yeah, I must try and get that installed. I mean, I love the detail on the stations. I think they've done a fabulous job. I'd love to see more of the underground on Train Sim World. I mean, the Just Trains Met line is absolutely fantastic. But we got a train going the other direction on the other platform. You could just hear that. Well, this sound mod just brings it to life, doesn't it? It's absolutely fantastic. It's a bit stuttery in place. Well, the Train Sim Classic one, a bit stuttery in places, but it's not too bad. I love how we've got the announcements on that as well that they've recorded, and you don't even have to bother too much. There's a little plug-in that you have to remember to play. But other than that, the train actually works out where you are. It's quite fantastic. It does it from the locations and everything. Graphics are obviously better on Train Sim World, but you know, some things right, we're crawling in here, aren't we? But never mind. Probably holding the service up behind us. Interested to see when we get to Elephant whether we must make sure we don't get that we keep a sharp eye out on the signals in case we do get howled. I did a video some time ago that's on the channel somewhere, but called it Rush Hour Tube, and it was a scenario that somebody had done, and you were literally being held quite a few points, and you had to really keep a beady eye out for the signals, because we were stopped you know, probably half a dozen times or more. I mean, this is better with the timetable than the one they released with the game originally. It was a bit light originally. You had gaps of 10 minutes or more sometimes for trains, sometimes 20 minutes, but this is a pretty busy timetable. This is the Baker Street itself. You can see the incredible artwork on the wall. Sort of Conan Doyle and all that. 2B. Baker Street with Sherlock Holmes. Oh, excellent. Do you know, I did wonder. I thought, I'm kind of half expecting it might be the case over the weekend. So, yep, so we're out of date already, aren't we? That run from Harrow and Wealdstone, we could have done with the new sounds, but, well, that's something I will get put in instantly. well done. I think that's Itcher on Train Sim Community. Brilliant website. Oh, excellent. Yeah, great. Yeah, I'd love to see more London Underground routes. I can remember going on the tube for the first time in the very early 80s. Might have been 82 if I remember rightly. And I've been absolutely spellbound. Yeah, I agree. I think the district line is interesting because it, again, that sort of subground, subsurface stations and everything, they're a bit more like normal stations. Piccadilly line, well, that's the home of Dale Charman, isn't it? And he does a fabulous YouTube channel. And I mean, although it's more or less up and down the same run every week, everything's a bit different, and he explains it absolutely brilliantly. Yeah, I love watching his channel. I mean, you know, it's good for me to run these runs on the train game, but I can't only imagine what it's like to do it in real life. Yeah, I think you're probably a level above aficionado status on the underground than me. I mean, I love them, but that's bound to be the case. I think the trouble with Train Simulator sometimes is, I mean, there's an awful lot been done. You just want more, don't you? You want every route, every location, every part of the country done. And I think, you know, it's just great that we're getting stuff added in. I mean, the stuff coming out is looking pretty cool as well. Just trains with the West Coast Main Line, with the Welsh route. We've got Alan Thompson's routes, which we think is Manchester Piccadilly to Crewe via the Style Line. I mean, I think at some point I'd like to do a bit of an adventure special, so we'll do the DC line on Euston to Watford Junction, then we'll look at the Goblin line again, and then a reliveried Elizabeth line, one for Paddington through to probably Hayes and Arlington. Finest on that. Yeah, I have to say, the scenery on some of the flight simulator stuff is incredible, isn't it? I mean, again, it doesn't quite hold up to train sim standards, because I think, you know, if you look around like the airports and stuff, it's absolutely brilliant. But if you go around the cities and so on, if you zoom down to, not that I know myself, but I know I've watched videos where they've done it, you zoom down to ground level and it's pretty awful really, but brilliant, amazingly done. You kind of want some sort of patch where you can't download the old country. It'll happen one day. I mean, at what point will we be able to drive on Train Simulator and it brings in all the buildings from, you know, sort of a new version, a modern version of Google Earth? And it's probably years away yet, but you can imagine it being a bit like that eventually. And then you'll kind of want to walk from the platform and go into the nearest pub and then see the inside of the pub represented. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, give it a few years, it'll happen. Yeah, it's here, isn't it, Piccadilly Circus, where, I mean, this is dead straight, but this bit for the platforms, this isn't right, is it? Yeah, that train behind us is right on top of us now. Whoever's driving behind us is thinking, what's he doing? I mean, I do like driving the Met Line on Train Sim Classic, and it's slightly out of date because they have ATO, don't they, the automatic train operations on the tunnel sections, and well, nowadays they do. On the game you've still got the signals in, but it's a bit scary at first. It takes a bit of learning these approach control signals, and you know, they won't clear unless you're doing the right speed, but great fun to drive. Yeah, I will do, yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. I got to the point where I found some PDF. The only thing that annoyed me was that with the Met Line, that they didn't introduce like a way up. They didn't put a great description of where all these signals were, and you know, Tom very nicely did a few videos, but it wasn't easy to understand, and I found a PDF eventually where somebody had really nicely mapped them out, and absolute godsend. And then I've kind of keep an eye on it, and I've kind of got used to it. But if you kind of drive that line, particularly from Finchley Road in towards Baker Street, and you just do it blind without really working out about those signals, you're in trouble. And again, I've got a video that I did about Christmas time, just after Christmas, a few months, one of my early videos actually, where I've done a run to Baker Street, and I've talked a bit about the approach control signals on that. quite know with those markers whether you're supposed to pass the marker with the cab or sit behind it. Same markers, that barrier thing that, you know, only the staff can use. I'm confused now. Have I? Did I? No, I didn't unlock the doors, did I? I think I opened the right-sided doors there. Never mind. You try and be realistic, but it's difficult to be 100% realistic. So I think we are literally passing beneath the River Thames now. We've gone through embankment and we've had one half of the Bakerloo day with Baker Street, and here's the other half coming up with Waterloo. I mean, I haven't installed Great Western Express, but one thing you will be able to do is at Paddington, you can alight at Paddington and use the ring hopping mode, and then you'll be at Paddington Station. So it kind of gives you that feeling of a little bit of continuity. Whether it's still up on YouTube, but there was a video Dovetail Games did where there was a real Bakerloo line driver who, I don't think she drove it herself, but she sat and watched it being driven, and she talked about the realism and compared it with the real thing. Fascinating to listen to, because she knew the numbers of every signal. Atrocious driving, really. I'm 6 minutes behind schedule. We are nearing the end, so Lambeth North and then Elephant itself. Got a glimpse of the not the best stop. Right, here we have to be a bit careful because we don't know which platform we're going. Well, we know we're going to platform 4, but I couldn't tell you whether that's left or right. But are we going to be held? I mean, again, going back to Dale Chalmers, but every train he ever gets on seems to be about 7 or 8 minutes late, so maybe late running isn't so much of a thing. Looking good, isn't it? Green. I'm almost be disappointed though if it's a clear run into the platform. Sides are clear as things stand. Platform 4 is this one on the left. Is this the one where they have a kind of a recess at the back where they could store trains overnight? Doesn't go back that far. There's been talk over the years about the Bakerloo line being extended. Always quite satisfying, I think, to get to the end of the journey and reach the terminus, though. I mean, that's one thing we can't do with the West Coast Main Line. Not with the Pendolino services, anyway. Right, so that was the Bakerloo line. So we just got one last train to run now. We're going to have a go at the 66. Now again, it's a 50-minute run. So I mean, I started at 4. It always goes on slightly. Takes a little bit longer than you anticipate. So I don't know whether I'm going to do a full run on the 66 this time around. Not going to do the Pendolino today. I think the plan will be that's going to be the next stream. We're going to do a bit of a Pendolino special. We're going to do a southbound service, I think. Don't know. Try that one. I mean, another good thing about the Train Sim... actually, no, it's not on the Train Sim community. On the Dovetail Games forums, there's somebody who keeps a tally of awesome services, and they'll tell you particularly good ones to go for, where you encounter adverse traffic. Right, so we were obviously held at the signal, so that's the reason why we stopped. Right, we're into forward. Don't think this works, does it, on this one? So I'm just going to see, I'll see how I feel. About doing the full run. It's 42 miles. Right. So the secret with this is to kind of accelerate slowly. patch as well. These lights aren't very good, are they? Yeah, we're moving. Very different than driving passenger trains. Feel a bit guilty really, because I did the 66 as the last run on the stream on Friday and I didn't complete it. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do the full run this time around. Will be quite interesting. I mean, if I can keep my interest in it going, it will be interesting to see if we get held by signals a bit, and also how I deal with it, because I'm not brilliant at driving this thing. Full power. Ah, there we are. Pendolino races us by. You know how many times you've been sat in a Pendolino and you've watched it overtaking a freight working. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who have talked about the need for a new freight loco for the game. I mean, we are on an uphill gradient at the moment, so that's not helping us. To see that little bit of traffic outside of Milton Keynes as well, the fact that they made the effort to get that put in. One and only time I've ever caught a train from Milton Keynes Centre. I arrived back to the station and I was walking round this side, and it was kind of like, I could see the station, but how on earth do you get to the concourse? It wasn't very well signposted. Those sound cutouts. The game kind of, I mean, it runs pretty smoothly. I mean, if I press the F3, you see the frame rate, it's pretty decent. rattly sound of the wagons, though. Dad Rail is another good YouTuber, of course, a real train driver. He drives these things in real life. Perhaps I should take a few tips from him driving the 66 in train sim, but the problem is, you know, you have to just think about it. You just can't whack the thing into full power and then hope for the best. You're just not going to get anywhere. And I guess that's, again, greatly featured the way the physics of the train behaves. We are racing through actually. In one point I haven't really given much thought to is, there we go. Maximum speed 75, so although the line speed is going to come up to 100 fairly soon, we have to top it at 75. I think it's basically I think it is. Welcome, Neil. By the way, I think it's basically the same train, but I think the beauty of the West Coast Main Line add-on is it comes with this particular 66 in its own right, so you don't have to worry about, say you don't own the LNER as the East Coast Main Line route, you don't have to worry about having the 66 or not. But there's nothing stopping you from spawning in the other one if you want a different livery. Hello to you as well, and thanks for watching. And by the way, I'm doing my best to try and chat live. I just haven't got the ability to type and drive the thing at the same time. Welcome again to anybody who's watching today. Really pleased to see so many people taking an interest. Yeah, and I mean, there's also reskins and all sorts of various liveries, Freightliner, all sorts. And I don't want to sound as though I'm begging either, but anybody that wants to like and subscribe, then I'd be really happy. Still fairly new to me, all this streaming, I have to say. I hope it's coming across okay in terms of the smoothness and everything. Still can't quite believe that you could broadcast effectively to the world from YouTube, from the comfort of your own bedroom. Yeah, good point that, yeah, about the suspension. And it makes such a difference, doesn't it? Because trains are not rigid and that stick to the tracks, and it gives it again that extra bit of realism. I like the livery though, I have to say. I mean, I know the wagons aren't new. I think we had these in the Goblin line, didn't we? And I'm going to be trying to be semi-realistic, at least by not going above 75 mile an hour. I still find the brakes just a bit fiddly and difficult and awkward, but then that's partly because I don't drive it very often. I wonder if you'd hear the horn a bit louder from the cam in real life. Welcome back, British Shore Geek. Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I've not tried Blackpool branches with the Pacer yet, but I'm guessing on full settings with the suspension, you'll probably get motion sickness almost. And I've not fiddled with the settings on that, I must be honest. It's whatever it's defaulted to. But it's pretty good having the sway. Why did we get an AWS reminder there? That's an error, isn't it? Because we've got a green signal, we've got no upcoming speed reductions. See, this is where I've got to be a bit careful now because we're downhill. Yes. I think it's good that you've got the variety though, because some people will love to have it on very, very bouncy, and then other people will want it, you know, virtually completely still. I'm getting worried now. We got another AWS ping. Signals are green. It's a much more interesting part of the route though, this, than, I mean, yes, I liked the East Coast Main Line Peterborough to Doncaster. Would have been good if it could have gone to York or Leeds, but it felt like a major omission not to do the King's Cross to Peterborough section. And who knows, maybe it might come in the future. quite decent, doesn't it, the scenery here? I mean, some of the distant scenery with the tree lane maybe isn't amazing, but it does feel like the Hertfordshire countryside. And again, we've got a bit of a climb, so not that easy to get up to full speed. Oh yeah, very much so. Completely agree. I'm really looking forward to Just Trains doing. I mean, we know that the standard is going to be fantastic because Blackpool branches was the best route. We know it, and it's going to be great to drive the 87 with the you know, the notching and everything. That is going to be a fantastic add-on, and it'll be a good run as well. And somebody on Train Sim Community, and okay, it won't be 100% accurate, but somebody will also do a modern day timetable version, so you'll be able to do the Pendolino as well if you want to, I'm sure, from Preston to Carlisle at some point. Just having the Morecambe branch, it's not far, but again, just a bit of variety. I'm looking forward to, and again, I think people are almost saying it as gospel, but oh yes, the 86 is a great train as well. Love to drive that on Train Sim Classic. The sounds, again, the Armstrong Powerhouse. I mean, there's some sound packs that they produce that aren't top notch, but that one is wonderful. Same with the 87. And it's great fun to drive. And actually, there's a video, I've not watched it yet, but there's a video about the Class 86 that's come out today by oh crumbs, I've forgotten his name now. Not Rally, but it's something along those lines. But that'll be some. His videos are always amazing. And if somebody could do some sort of reskin of the Caledonian Sleeper, it's hard to do really, because I don't know how you can blank out the windows without making it look naff. But if somebody somehow do the Caledonian Sleeper carriages, the old Mark III ones, then we can do the Caledonian Sleeper. And I'm looking forward to the Alan Thompson route as well. And I'm talking as though it's gospel that this is going to be the case, but it seems to point to the fact that it's going to be Crewe to Manchester Piccadilly via the Style line. Now, not many Pendolinos actually go that way, but there's one service a day, and I've already got my eye on the idea of doing the Friday Charter as well, which ran a couple of years back with the 87. You'll be able to do it to Milton Keynes from Euston, and then do hopefully Crewe to Manchester Piccadilly, and do the other bits on Train Sim Classic. I mean, people do amazing things with the mods. I mean, it'd be easy enough to do the livery, I suspect, but how would you blank the windows out, but you only want to blank part of the windows out? It's definitely a project for somebody. And I mean, some people say it's not that amazing to drive at night, but you could kind of do it if you did it in the middle of summer. You'd have that. It'd be still light leaving Euston, and the early morning bit back from Milton Keynes would be in the daylight as well. So we're on level ground. I'm not going to put the brakes on because I'll get it down to about 70 probably, and then it'll take me an age to get it back up to 75. I mean, I can't see Dovetail Games producing the sleeper carriages because it's for kind of use for that one service a day in each direction, or is there a couple, you get the Lowlander and the Highlander or whatever it is, but it's still limited use. I mean, it'd be great if they did. And then we'd need the loco that will actually drive with that coupling as well, so I just can't see it really. I mean, I'd love them to produce an add-on with it included, but it isn't like it's going to have an amazing use. And hello to Thomas as well. Metal detectors and trains. Now that's a bit of variety with the hobby there, I think. Yeah, I hope so. I really hope we do get some sort of version of the Caledonian Sleeper, because certainly the Class 87s did operate on that, and somebody will do a reskin, I'm sure, of the 87, was it 87002 into Caledonian Sleeper livery. I mean, it'd be quite nice, just even the bit kind of getting the set ready in the early evening and driving it down from the carriage sidings down to Euston. I recognise Berkhamsted because it's on the bend. Certainly is. It is a Class 66. Yeah, I mean the 5 Circle. It felt rushed and not finished when it came out. I loved the fact that you got the announcements on the 170 and stuff like that, but it still felt like. And then we got a mod that completely regenerated the scenery. And then that amazing timetable mod as well from that guy. Sorry, I was going to say that guy called Fawkes, but he was the one who tried to blow houses in Parliament, wasn't he? But it was a chap called Fawkes anyway. It's possible to do the Azuma on a run from Edinburgh Waverley up to Markinch. I did do a video a couple of months back where I carried on the journey on Train Sim Classic from Markinch, and then we ended up in Montrose. I mean, I've kind of not even done massive justice to the 5 Circle routes, in all honesty. But it's a good fun route. Whew. Wow. That's a great question. I don't know, there's so many, isn't there? I mean, I didn't like the Pendolinos when they first came out because they were replacing all the old electrics, but I've kind of got used to them. I enjoy riding them and so on, and I've probably got a little bit of an inkling more towards the old trains, and it probably would be the 86s and 87s that the absolute favourites. But, you know, even like driving the Aventura, I love the sounds on that, on the train game as well, and it's just, there's just so much variety. I mean, I do prefer the trains from the 80s, and no doubt about that, but I kind of like the modern stuff as well. What about you yourself? What's your favourite train? It's always a great regret for me that I never managed to get a ride on the APT. I saw it come through the West Coast Main Line in the Staffordshire area a lot in the 80s, because they, even after they stopped running it on a regular service, they there was still like, I think, 1 or 2 relief services a day that they, or 3 times a week at least, that they run it. So I saw it come through many a time. Sorry, remember the excitement of seeing it tilting round the bend and then straightening up. This was at a place called Whitmore, and then going round the corner and back on the tilts again. It was incredible. Yeah, fantastic. That'd be another good one, wouldn't it, to have on Train Sim, the 373. I remember going, I think I only went, no, I've been on it a couple of times. Once on the old Waterloo through to Paris, and then another time on the modern, you know, as it is now, out of St Pancras. I seem to recall that kind of Tring onwards, I think we're pretty much downhill most of the way now. Of course, it looks there as though we were tilting them, but of course you get a bit of cant on the track. Oh, look at this shot! Wow. Another one. I mean, I've got to say, this add-on's absolutely fantastic. I mean, if you read the forums over the last few weeks, you would have thought this is going to be abysmal, the worst thing that's ever been produced, but every single run I've had has plenty of variety and interest. Oh, we didn't spot the 70 there, did we? So we've got to be tad careful here. Tell you what, this run's been racing by as well. I mean, I was thinking at the start, wasn't sure whether I was going to complete the run, but I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Yeah, I like the 465, and again, the sound on that on Train Sim World is good. I mean, I love the fact now with the 465s that, I mean, for many years we've got the Train Sim World thing to Dartford, but it's good that we've got that Steam Workshop route down for Train Sim Classic from that chap Nicholas, and you drive it over, drive it into Charing Cross. It'd be lovely to have a. Ah, wait a minute. I need to get those brakes on properly, don't I? Mind you, might be a blessing in disguise. It certainly is, Neil. Well, it's already out, but you have to get the early access. But it's kind of no point now because the general version's available on Tuesday anyway. But it's like this is the deal. There's the deluxe and then there's the special edition, which that's a bit pricey. But yeah, it's available completely across the board from Tuesday. So, gotta keep an eye on these signals. Yeah, this is where it gets a bit tricky. I mean, the thing is, we're very much in commuter territory now, aren't we? So. Oh dear. I'm trying to go too much power, aren't I? Yeah, I did a video. That was one of my last videos before Train Sim World 5 came out. I did a video from Rainham through to King's Cross. St Pancras. Well, just St Pancras International, isn't it? And then the idea is part 2. I'm going to do it up to Luton, but I haven't got round to doing that yet. Well done, well spotted, mate. I'm not very good at driving this Class 66 freight train, I have to say. Takes a bit of learning. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Bit late to the party, but never mind. We're about 11 miles away. I've got this horrible feeling that I'm hoping. What's the signal coming up? No, we're all right. Here's Watford Junction. No, we're okay. We're on green. Pendolino races by. liking the detail on the catenary there. I don't know if it's the river or the canal at this point, or you just got a glimpse of it, but there was I think it was back in the 70s where one of the old electrics ended up in the embankment and virtually ended up in the river. Thanks to everybody that's watched today. I mean, we're perhaps not quite going to get up to the 500 mark, but getting pretty close. 479. Come through Bushy. See the line veers away to the left. So we're looking there to Watford High Street on the DC lines. Kind of hoping we don't get too many adverse signals, because it's just a bit fiddly, and not driven the 66 for a long time, and it's just a completely different experience to driving a passenger train. We're less than 9 miles away to Wealdstone, and that'll be where I'll end things for tonight. It's been really good. Must watch a bit of the dad rail driving this 66, because he drives them for a living in real life, so might well be being held. Might be a train that's slowing our progress. You're just trying to get the right balance, because you obviously want to be able to make sure you can stop if we get a red signal. We're alright, I think. What's that, double yellow, is it? Yeah. Yep, certainly can. hello as well. Another new viewer, or at least a new message. Oh, we've exceeded the 500 mark now. That's fabulous. I'm pleased with that. My pleasure. I think sometimes the chat goes a little bit behind, as I'm seeing it in terms of it being live, but trying to take notice as much as possible. And if you've enjoyed the stream and you wish to like and subscribe, if I can get my words out, then I would be tremendously grateful. So we're going green there. I mean, the thing is, if we're behind a 350 that's a stopper, then this is partly why we're getting adverse signals. But then it takes so long to accelerate back up again, then it's green again by the time you get to it. But you're kind of conscious here that it's kind of like we've not definitely got a sequence of greens. This is Harrow and Wealdstone. Well, we have now, so maybe we're okay. I think the old trick is if you kind of start getting adverse signals, there's no point in racing up once you get a green, because the chances are you'll catch the train in front of you again. See, we've got a double yellow again now. It's kind of like 60's a bit too much. We're not too far away from our end point. But I mean, essentially all the criticism about the timetable, I mean, I've tried different times of the day, and okay, mainly probably around peak times, but it looks pretty busy to me. Yeah, the vigilance is the thing. Obviously, it's to make sure that we're still here. Really, basically, I mean, in the old days, you got a dead man's handle, effectively, but it's usually a pedal these days. But the idea is, if you kind of don't respond to the alarms that go off, then it's kind of triggering the fact that you might have had a heart attack, or there's some reason that you can't, and it'll bring the train to a halt. So just really safety devices. And I mean, with this AWS that we're getting here, that's to alert us to the fact that it's double yellow and you can visually see, but you might be looking into the sun. It might not be all that easy to see in real life. So it's to make sure that when we get to that red signal, hopefully we don't go sailing through, which of course spells all sorts of problems. I mean, at some point we are going to leave the West Coast Main Line shortly now anyway, and we'll be going into, well, it says the Wealdstone Relief Line. There's a 377 on a Watford Junction service from East Croydon. Yeah, very good question there, Mr. Crossfield. They are scheduled, yeah, definitely scheduled. They run to a timetable, and I mean, if you look on the real-time trains website, you will see that they are actually included nowadays. You can see the freight workings. But that said, you know, hey, I'm going to end up trying to get these brakes off properly. But they very often run massively behind schedule. And once you've lost your path, then you're going to be sort of held at various points. I mean, I don't know whether it applies on this particular add-on, but there might well be places where you are actually held in passing loops. I mean, most of this is 4 tracks, so it probably isn't really so much of an issue, but when you get onto the Preston Carlisle bit where it's double track, then you'll get held in a loop while you might wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes for passenger trains to be scheduled through, because they always get priority. They're a very pertinent question, that. And we are going downhill as well, which is a bit of a nuisance as well. So I mean, we're 1.9 miles away, so if I happen to go sailing through this red signal, I'm not going to be too worried. Oh, we're alright, we're okay. But again, can we get to... We're going to end up stopping again, aren't we? I mean, I don't know whether this... I think this is like the amp meter, but we shouldn't really be getting into the red zone, but yeah, we're on the move again. I mean, the secret is just gently does it. I mean, you know, pretty much with the passenger trains, you can put it into full whack from the off, and jobs are good. But these freight trains, well, you can imagine the sheer weight behind us. mean, what doesn't help us here? We're on a downhill gradient. I'm afraid I'm going to call it a day, because it's been over 3 hours, the stream. So once we're finished, obviously you can watch it all back. But I've driven the Bakerloo line on a full run from Harrow and Wealdstone through to Elephant Castle, and we started with the 350 on a run from London Euston to Milton Keynes. There's also Friday's stream where I did the DC line from Euston to Watford Junction as well, and also the Pendolino. We did a nice early morning stop move as well from the carriage sidings. Tell you what, this is going to take some doing. Actually, it's like being on a roller coaster here. We're going. Well, no, we're all right. We're on level ground. Actually, oh no, we're back. No, it's definitely. Well, you can see it's going downhill. This takes some skill, actually. Try and do just a little bit of brake. It takes a while for the brakes to come off. So we should have released full pressure. Yeah, you see it's climbing back up again. So we've got 0.9 miles to our end point. And okay, we obviously can't go our ultimate destination. I can't recall where it's supposed to be going to, but I mean, in real life there would be places on these freight runs where you would be relieved. I'm kind of getting the anger driving this loco again. Kind of wondering whether I could get up to 500, but we're nearing 600. So maybe that's a thing to remember for Sunday afternoon streams. Try and stream as much as I can, but clearly later afternoon, early evening's a good time. Speaking of Neil from Norwich, it'd be good to have the Great Eastern Main Line in the game, wouldn't it? At some point in Train Sim World 5, and I mean that new version of the Gemma line from Alan Thompson from Ipswich to Liverpool Street. That's pretty decent. The Train Sim Classic. That's breathed a whole new bit of life into things. we could do a bit of flirting. The new trains, of course, colloquially known as flirts. Don't ask me what it stands for, I can't remember. I remember with Microsoft Train Simulator, first of all doing Liverpool Street to Ipswich by a company called Making Tracks many years ago now, and being blown away by it. That was one of the best add-ons that's ever been created in terms of the value. Tremendous amount of entertainment out of that. Yeah, single yellow. I think there is some sort of patch which improves the colouring a little bit. But I know real drivers will say sometimes, particularly if you're looking into the sun, it's not always easy to actually work out the aspects. Right, so we should just about be able to put on the brakes now. There we are, objective completed. Got a gold star as well. I'm not sure the driving quite merited that, but never mind. Well, thank you very much for everybody for watching, and if you've enjoyed the stream, I'll certainly try and do more of them. The next one, I'm not sure exactly what day it's going to be, but the plan is to make it a bit more of a Pendolino special, and we can look at some of the new liveries that have been brought out from the Creators Club. And also, I'm thinking we'll do a run from Glasgow Central, because some of the real life trains occasionally get diverted via Cathcart Circle, so that's certainly a bit of an alternative. But if you want to like and subscribe to the channel, I'd be massively grateful. But you know, it's just a pity. I've got 598 views for today, and not too far away from 600, but I'm sure quite a few people will watch this back afterwards, and we will get over the 600. But thank you again. Thanks for watching, and until next time, from me, Powerflower Trains and Planes, it's good night.